Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the Super Journey News podcast, Blank Space Blues, Lance Edition Talkback session for episode. I keep saying episode. I should be saying session. That's the Cowboy Bebop vibe. Session 13 of our show. How is that? Yeah, nice peaceful music at the end. Nice and somber, nice and chill. This is like a nice little chill but also not chill RP episode. No combat. We haven't had like a full scale combat in a little bit, but I think it was nice to have a little break after all those like back to back things. Mike, are we having mic issues again?
Is my mic's working?
I can hear you. Yep.
They don't call you Mike for nothing.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wish that
Wow.
my mic was working more.
I have something just for the Amy. There you go. Cool. So that was episode 13. Will the real Shadowblade please stand up? That whole opening-ish scene with the bloody daggers. First of all, that was like the first time that you guys actually like met face to face with the bloody daggers. I know we teased them a bit during the race when Doe and Featherfoot was riding, and then quit the race because they were just too far behind. What was it like meeting? I mean, we don't have the Alexes here, unfortunately, because D-Friend is stuck doing schoolwork for an assignment tomorrow, and Sappy is getting ready to help his mom with some stuff. But Mike, what did it feel like interacting with the bloody daggers for the first time?
I guess kind of what I expected. A little mysterious. Got some answers in a roundabout way.
Yes.
But it's funny because you thought we might have had a battle with them, and
Yes.
and then I think we talked about like, yeah, why would we fight them? Because they're like these renowned assassins.
Yeah, I had a map and everything. I think I showed it on the screen for a little bit, like what the layout looked like. But yeah, it's because I thought like in case they really, because they were really like adamant on not giving up information that was like part of their contract. So like, yeah, I thought you may have to fight for it, or like, yeah, like threaten their lives for that information.
Yeah.
Not realizing that you guys were very creative. I think Sappy came up with the idea to use the Psycho Slug. Fucking yeah, I think that episode was the point where I was like, fuck. I created something with this Psycho Slug that is like a hack for so many situations. And sometimes as a GM, you give your players something, you don't realize how useful it is until they start using it a lot and all the time.
It's not really for like every situation. Like,
no.
like
you use it on Jimothy, you use it on this, and then I think you attempt to use it later, but I'm just like no, it's out of juice. Yeah. But how was all that episode for you, Ames and Magnus, who weren't playing it but witnessing it from a viewer's perspective?
I'm still wet from meeting Zanduil. He's
yeah, he is really cool. His art is really dope. Shout out to D-Friend for the art. Yeah, I didn't really know what his personality was besides like leader, assassin guy, but then like as soon as the situation was playing out and then the Shadowblade name thing happened, I was like, yeah, this guy's like no bullshit. And like it makes sense because like they're so like rigid in their contracts and their work that it just made sense that he was like this no bullshit guy that was like also very just like knew how to talk, knew how to just like fucking like maneuver that conversation expertly. Yeah, he was sick.
I like what you said in the chat, actually, Magnus, that elves are very patient with things like that because their perception of time is way different than everyone else. He's like hundreds of years old.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
That's true. Yeah,
just like
it is true.
Chris, I thought you were role playing that like very well because he seemed to be just like past all of that immature BS, even though it was hilarious.
Yes.
I just thought that it fit like this old, skilled professional elf.
Yes. In my mind, it was like this guy has been around for hundreds of years. Like he doesn't have time for like this bullshit, this Shadowblade name, and also to hear someone be like, "Yeah, I came up with the first." It's just like so absurd for him that he's like, "Hold on, I need to address this." Yeah, especially D-Friend's not here to talk about it, but I was curious if he, because obviously Shadowblade Pirate was a reference to Rainbow Valley and the character Shadowblade Pirate, and like where the name possibly would have come from. But when we were creating the world and like the gangs and all that stuff, like we did create as either a group or it was me and D-Friend, Zenduil Shadowblade as a character. And I'm curious if he realized that when he had the Shadowblade name for like his character, like adopting that name, that like there was a character in this world that existed that was named that. So I was like, I have to have them meet at some point because that's gonna be so stupid.
but the real question is that in season 1, it's a mantle that's been passed down. It seems right. Like did that Shadowblade name come from Zenduil's family, or did it come from
I thought Shadowblade Pirate was
Bugaki?
named after like a legend that the scary guy like loved and respected, which was like the echoes of a legend of the Shadowblade Pirate, which I guess started with D-Friend technically, but like the name Shadowblade is actually a clan of elves. But yeah, it's a very silly thing. But that bit of RP where the line especially just like you made this is awkward now, like it didn't have to be, you made it so, like I'm just like that whole exchange is so good.
That was my favorite part. It had me cracking up.
Yeah.
That whole awkwardness. And then like D-Friend, also the part where like he just like blew his own cover like so bad.
Yeah, so bad.
Which is
funny. Yeah, because I feel like up until now he's like been so like he tries to be so crafty and like is able to navigate these situations in these disguises, or like he blurts up, but like he's able to like recover from them. But for the first time, he's like getting called on his shit. He's like getting revealed, and like he's like kind of like cornered. I think someone said it like he got cornered to a point where he's just like, shit, I'm a bug, like nowhere else to go. So I thought it was a really funny situation to put him in. Didn't expect it to go down like that at all, but yeah, that's what happens.
That shit was funny.
The magic.
I think it's even more punchy that D-Fran, he obviously knew that the Shadowblade Pirate was a thing. And was it mentioned before he claimed to be Shadowblade Pirate? I mean, in the lore.
Knowing D-Fran, I think he forgot entirely that we created, there was a character that existed named
from season 1.
Oh, I mean, I think definitely like the Shadowblade Pirate was when he got Bugaki to take that name was directly to be like, is this what influenced that?
Yeah,
but he didn't know. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think he knew that that Zenju said Shadowblade was a character. I think he totally forgot. Honestly,
I was just gonna say, even him saying the one and only so many times, knowing that there's some other one out there at some point.
Maybe, like buckling
only
down
from the first campaign is what I'm referring to.
Yeah,
like, with that knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, we could ask him when.
I think he wanted to leave it open-ended because this is in the past. So I think he created this character to be where that name came from in season 1.
Oh, yeah. I think.
But Chris created the Zenduil Shadowblade.
Well, actually, me and D-Friend created it together when we were thinking of like who was the leader of the gang and stuff. Yeah. But this was like so long before we recorded the session that I guarantee he forgot that was the case. And I think I might have mentioned the name, like Zenju Shadowblade wouldn't be happy about this when the race, when Delwyn forfeited the race. But that was like also like episode like 6 or 7, so or 6 I think. So it's too long ago, and like with all the weeks in between recording sessions, sometimes like no way he would have remembered. But Shadowblade. What a
also knowing him, like I don't know how in depth he knows like D&D 5e spells and stuff, because Shadowblade is a spell. Maybe he's like seen the spell, but I don't know if he knows like how in depth it's used in builds and stuff, because a lot of people will make like, you know, Hexblade warlocks, or they'll make like oh my god, was it the Blade Singer wizards,
Blade
stuff
Singers,
like that with the Shadow Blade. So that's like a
I
thing
don't
in
know.
D&D.
You might have
I
seen
don't know.
the spell, but Shadowblade is just a cool name.
It is a cool name. Super cool. It was like an elephant, like a Scary Gary the elephant, was it?
Scary Gary the elephant guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amy, you gotta
Season
watch.
1.
You gotta listen to season 1. It's
I
just an audio
know.
thing. It's fun. It's fun. It's fun. It's
on Spotify, right?
It is on Spotify.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. A lot of like the silly cameos and little connections that are just like Easter eggs are like it makes watching it more fun, in my opinion.
Definitely makes it more rich
agree.
from my experience.
There's a charm to just audio D&D podcasts.
Yeah,
Like,
that too. Yeah. Not only have to worry about visual
Pretty
stuff.
sure I follow.
like NADPOD and Worlds Beyond Number.
Yeah, World's Beyond Numbers are done very well.
Put this song on Spotify.
Yeah, I should.
Yeah,
I
I
should.
Yeah,
I
please
should.
put
Terrible
that song.
Anyways, back to the episode. At the end of the whole exchange with Zenjo, I actually forgot like this whole thing happened until I revisited this episode. But the agreement that you guys made with Zendwheel of like
Mikey?
exchanging info and Mikey's agreement to like
I
do a
remember
kill, and then you agreed to kill Fork and Blazer at some point. I forgot that happened, and that's just like
I
that's
forgot that
hovering
too.
there and waiting. That's never.
Yeah.
It's got to be addressed. It's got to be
I know.
addressed. I feel like when he made that deal, Sappy might have had something in mind or some kind of plan.
No, he was. I think he knew where his character was going, and he's.
Well, yeah. I'm just curious to see how that will unfold because that's a pretty big ally that you
Yeah,
had.
he seemed like a good dude.
Yeah, he's just a good dude that you know, from enemy to friend, truly Vegeta arc. Now he's like your homie that has been taking care of Gojin Silver while you guys are banned from the planet. So you're tasked to kill him. Yeah, it's gonna be something to think about. Another thing I really love, Bugaki playing the prank on the new union came out of nowhere where he such a good idea. Such a good idea. Where he pits the Skull Pounders and the new union against each other with that call. Just another example of like the little things that you guys do that I don't expect that send ripples throughout the story, because like things like that, like they end up resulting in like the entire like narrative shifting a little bit. Like for me, when I have to think about what happens in the future.
Yeah. Well, the radio updates every episode is like the other storylines that are happening.
Yeah, outside of what you guys directly see. Yeah. For Whiskers, once we got to Alkene, which was really cool to just see Alkene and all the different elemental towns. What was it like to meet all the characters that we built into your like relationship tree? So when I first like start working with the players about like building the world and like building NPCs and stuff, like I get everyone to send me like little blurbs about people that their character might know or people that might exist in the world that would be cool. So Mike sent me just like a huge list of like people that were connected to Whisk, and people that Whiskers knew from his past and like would consider family. And since we were coming back to Alkene this episode, I thought this was like a good time to explore that. So what was that like for you to finally meet them?
Yeah, it was cool. I didn't know what they were gonna sound like or anything. I just wrote down like maybe like 3 lines, like age, what the race is, what the relationship is, kind of what they did. And just like, you know, loose things. And to be honest, at the time of recording, I had to like look at my notes to like remind myself like who was who, and I even forgot about Rainy, I think too. But yeah, it was cool because before episode 1, I think Whiskers and Mikey were doing things like shipping jobs and stuff for 2 years. So they probably did go and visit like pretty often, which is why like Mikey and Augie, you know, they hang out with was it Breezy? Yeah, in the garage and stuff, while Whiskers is usually like in the kitchen, like with Hissy, and just like, you know, being the dog that's like sitting beside the mom who's cooking kind of thing. And it was good relationship. The oh man, you giving Rainy dementia and forgetting about Whisk dying was like, oh my god.
Oh
yeah, I figured because like she's like 100 something, so I was like, even though she's like a water genasi, Still old.
Still old, yeah.
So I thought it would be painful to have her like be like, "Where's Whisk?" and like keep forgetting about Whisk dying.
Yeah.
My internet might have just cut out.
Oh, no, you're
still
here.
here.
You're good. We
hear
still see you.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. One scene from it's I think Winter Soldier or something. One of the Marvel movies that always stood out to me as a very, very well done scene. Is the one with Steve Rogers talking to old Peggy, who's like in the hospital room. Do you guys remember that scene?
Yes.
Where he's like talking to her, and then she's like talking to him, and then like it's like a really sweet moment, and then like just like a moment happens, and she like blinks, and she's like, "Oh, like Steve, it's you," and starts like crying or whatever, and then like it's just so sad to like like, oh, like she's like old and like she's got like some kind of dementia. Just like that moment has always sat with me as like a very impactful, like well done moment that just like kind of sneaks up on you. It's like very subtle. Yeah. So that was like kind of the inspiration for the rainy.
Yeah. Well, I you know, being your brother, I could feel you injecting like our family vibes in here because like the Pita tongue, like our dad's name is Peter Tongue, and like the clearing the throat, like he's always clearing his throat.
Yeah, is what our dad always says. Yeah. People who know who have met our dad know. That's why D-Friend laughs.
D-Friend knows because it's like, you know, back in high school, like they would like our friends would sleep over and like that's what you hear in the morning. Yeah. He's clearing his throat.
That was like a conversation that I had with Daniel Kwan. Like shout out to Daniel Kwan from Asians Represent. Awesome podcast, TTRPG podcast, award-winning podcast. They had me on for an episode to talk about generational stories and how our families influence our the art that we put out. And he was talking about like the books that he's written. Like he's written for like several like TTRPG things, several systems, several like book things. He incorporated like one of his like dad's old like restaurants or something into the book. It just as just like a way to like solidify like a legacy aspect, a way to like solidify his family and like have it down on paper of just like something that can live forever in like this book. And so like in that same way, I was like, I thought it'd be cool to like make a little shawarma spot called Pita Tongue and like reference my dad.
Our mom's name is Wei Rose, WEI. So I want Chris to make like the Way of the Rose or something.
I have ideas for that. I have an idea for that. Way of the Rose is coming for something in the future.
Yeah.
That's
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's one of the biggest values I have for D&D is bringing in people. It's one of the things I want to do is like bring in all the people that I love, make characters, make places, make scenarios just to immortalize them. It's one of the biggest powers that D&D or just storytelling in this format has.
100%.
And now that this episode is out on the internet forever, that's there now, and that's something like I could be proud of and revisit someday or show my dad. I'm gonna
episode with drinking 100 shots and
I'm making the Pita Tongue bit into like a TikTok clip that I'm gonna send to our dad probably.
Aww.
Yeah, just because that'd be cool.
But overall, like Alkene's pretty cool. Like basically, the way we are picturing Alkene is kind of like the Avatar world, like with elements, and it's like fantastical, like Avatar, the Last Airbender, and Avatar: Way of the Water, like combined.
Yeah, kind of
right?
both.
It's kind of both, right?
Yeah, like the water world in the second Avatar, like is very much how I picture like the the water, Aquatopia.
And then you get to New Zuzu, and there's all like the familiars and stuff, and it's like a magical kind of like little like Jurassic Park kind of like situation on the planet. It's very very cool.
Alkene is such like it's a planet that you like. We've talked about it. Like you can host an entire campaign on this one planet. Like there's just
which we
every little city
do.
is we have plans to, but each elemental like city or town has its own vibe, and it's just like a cool thing that you guys are just like stopping in for like these couple episodes, but a huge world that we can explore. It's crazy because sci-fi, you're going from planet to planet, and like I feel like in Star Wars, like you go to Tatooine and you only really see like Mos Eisley, the cantina, and like those few locations. But if you think about it, like there's a whole planet there of like places that Star Wars hasn't even like
I think about that all the time.
touched on,
Yeah.
and like they're going to like planet to planet. Like even Coruscant, it's like you see that one like main city mostly, and it's just like even when building out this galaxy, it is just like whereas D&D, you're like building a map. You're like, this town is this town is this. Where like this planet is this, but like within that planet has to be this city and this city and this city, and just like there's so much. So like each little thing, like we can only really scratch the surface on in a sci-fi thing like this.
Well, when we made the notes for everything, it's literally like planet and capital. And then like if there's anything else, like we'll add it in.
That's all we have the capacity for. Or else we get like too crazy. Like some of the more important ones, like Alkene that has so many. We got into, and like Draco Stellaris has the different dragon stuff. Like things like that we had to flesh out more just so we knew. But until we like further dive into these planets at some point, whether it's a one shot of this or a side quest of this, whoever GMs those has the liberty and freedom to expand upon that as they wish, which I think is really cool.
If and when I ever GM for this, I want to make a campaign on Zuzu.
That'd be cool.
I'll tell you guys.
Pretty sure there's an Avatar rule system somewhere.
That'd be cool. You're like fucking Honey Heist would work.
I'll tell you guys after this. I'll tell you guys what my ideas are.
Alright, cool. Alright. But yeah, just like a last thing, I just thought it was nice to kind of end this session. I mean, we talked about the search for Washi, but just to have like with the boys, just like a peaceful drunken night out on the town, and like the first restful sleep that you guys have had in a long time. I just feel like just knowing what you guys have been through and then what's ahead, it's just nice to have a little like break and a little peaceful chunk of time that you guys can like kind of fool around and do a little like unserious stuff before what I would consider a very hectic next few episodes. Like we got Magnus and stuff, and like
this is the last. Well, I guess next episode is this is definitely the last episode when we're like relaxed and kind of like okay, and then shit just gets crazy.
Yeah, like once Magnus comes in and then everything escalating from there, like I think it's pretty nonstop
it's
for the most part. It starts to ramp up for sure. So enjoy the peace while you can, folks.
Calm before the storm.
Calm before the storm.
I want to ask Magnus what he thinks of this episode, knowing the next episode, because you were in the next episode, like seeing this part of Alkene and how it fit into when
and like how we set up Alkene, and like can we even show the map that like
we meet you and New Zuzu, but and you know about the temple, but like everything else.
So much better. I wish I could have seen this before. The notes were great. It helped me catch up, but just like seeing what the notes were about was so much better. Because to me, like getting in that mindset, the notes helped to a certain degree, but it was mostly just like I had to count on just meeting you guys and then paying attention to the story. But the setting and seeing you guys sort of explore it in real time definitely helped me put more pieces together of what Alkene is about. Because New Zuzu, I have a pretty vivid idea.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, everything else is sort of filled in the gaps for this one. Well, not everything else. There's still a whole planet.
There's a whole planet to explore.
I guess Alkene is like the most fleshed out planet that we have because we've done a lot here.
I guess so. Well, yeah. Zerf is pretty fleshed out in terms of people. Like I think you've met the most people and hung out there the most because he raced there. Like in my mind, Zerf is similar to like Tatooine in that sense. Even just the vibes, like it's just like
But here we saw like the air place, the water place. We went downtown. There's a temple. There's New Zuzu.
Yeah,
I think the art you have is exceptional for characters and mechs, but if there was an art to represent each place, it would be.
Yeah, that's one thing we talked about at the beginning. Like before we even started, like we were talking with D-Fran about it, just like landscapes to have each like. Just like even just one.
That's asking a lot.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
I know.
Just one landscape.
Are so difficult.
Just one landscape to show
Literally,
like a planet's
game developers have artists that focus on the character and artists that just only do background.
Well, immediately we were like, D-Fran doesn't have the capacity. Like he barely has the capacity to do.
They're getting paid full time to do that.
Like D-Fran doesn't have enough time to even do the amount of
characters
that I
want.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a dream for sure. To like at least like each planet, at least one landscape to show like the vibe. They have like a specific place or an important place on the planet. That would have been so cool to just throw up on the screen just so you could like, because I find myself like I think one of my weaknesses as a DM is like I don't describe things as thoroughly like verbally. I do rely a lot on the art and like my voices and like the story, but like I think I need to do a better job at verbally describing people, especially for those who are visually impaired. I know we do the joke about open your eyes and look at the art, but yeah, I know that's obviously not possible for some people. But yeah, I try to describe, but like I don't know, just it's not the same as art. It's just so I just like can capture like the soul of what I'm trying to
start using those adjectives.
Yeah, I try. Yeah, I pull up thesaurus.com was like my homepage, man. Like I use that shit all the time. But yeah,
you'll get used to it as soon as you start like you doing it. It'll come natural. It's like,
well, you know I realized this mostly because when I talk to D-Fran and then like I'm like describing the characters for him to do the art, and I look back to like how I described them in the episode. Some of the descriptions I gave are very minimal, so like he has a lot of free reign. So I'm actually not that descriptive, which like is good for art in terms of like flexibility. But yeah, I feel like I could do a better job at that, because like even for Zenduil, it was like he's a drow elf with red eyes, long white hair, and a dark cloak. But like I could just be like a dude, right? But yeah, something that I'm working on.
Sometimes when I would DM online, I just throw up a picture and I just try and look at the picture and describe it as best as I could, whether it be a setting or a person, to sort of help get as accurate or be as vivid as I could.
Yeah, I have like a visual in my mind of like a general idea of like, especially like Alkeen, like what each of the towns look like the water one where there's like people underwater, there's water all over the place. Like I did describe that. But like, yeah, to see it as a visual is just like something totally different and like magical.
Oh yeah.
And it's hard, especially with something that's magical. It's just like there's so much cool stuff and like little nuances that I'm not describing that could be happening in the back.
It's part of the game though, man.
Yeah.
This is like a story verbal.
But I also hope that listeners or people who are watching can like also visualize in their head like what it looks like. Like Amy and Magnus, like are you guys picturing what Alkeen looks like?
I'm pretty good with my imagination, so I don't struggle with that.
That's good.
Yeah.
I have the benefit of also being pretty good. My brother is the exact opposite. Like verbal descriptions don't work at all.
That can.
Oh wow.
I think there's I don't know what it's called, but there's some kinds of people who just can't imagine something, which is
there is
feel so sorry for them. They're probably exceptional in other ways.
Like there's some people that can't literally see an apple in their head. If you like,
that's I can't imagine
visualize an apple. Like some people just cannot physically see something in their head.
There's people who also don't have like an inner monologue, which is
I was just gonna say some people just can't talk inside their head.
How do you exist like that?
Yeah, right? How do you think?
All I do is talk to myself. I'm talking to myself now.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, we've all got different brains. But I hope the way that we've laid up like Space Blues, there's visual component, there's audio, and I try when I edit to make sure the audio is robust enough to stand on its own too, if someone was just listening. So I hope that it is accessible. I hope that our show is like consumable by like all sorts of people in all different like ways of consuming it.
You definitely set the mood with the music.
Yeah, that's why I spent a lot of time
and put
a lot of effort on the music.
When you were describing the bloody daggers, like their encampment with like the tents and stuff, and you had like the what Amy said, you like
it was like the Middle Eastern.
That was some Aladdin shit. I was like, I had to check did I open Aladdin? Am I playing it?
Yeah. The music is really dope, but I was picturing.
I don't know why. It made me think of right away that annoying Nintendo Aladdin game. As soon as I heard it, I got triggered. I was like, yes, I got triggered. I was like, and that's why I said that. I was like, what is this Arabian Night bullshit?
I do spend a lot of time on the audio side, even though audio is like also one of my weaknesses. Like I never got I never got too much into audio design. I always had Aaron Young in film school.
You definitely
to
cover up that weakness very well.
Yeah, the music.
Yeah,
the
you
music.
do,
I'm
you
good at
really
music
do.
creation. I've learned, and that's what I
You know, the
definitely
next
rely on.
step that we have to add, and I would help because I always wanted to do this for a living, is like when they watch films and stuff, the sound engineers and they literally
Foley,
stepping
Foley stuff.
I want to do Foley, step in the snow, like break.
I would actually love that. Like I have the Gundam
yeah.
sounds, and I have a couple like choice sound effects that I throw in, obviously once in a while. But like to have,
if you
like,
can't find a sound, you gotta make it.
Yeah, no, I would love
I
to
do that
like,
for
Foley.
some of my friends that are game devs. They ask me, they'll be like, "Oh, I need this and this.
Lettuce
Can
crunching.
you make this?" Yeah.
Well,
So
Magnus has
I'll like
ASMR
get food in the
experience.
fridge, and then I'll just like have it on my mic and like slosh water. Like
as soon as Magnus opens his mouth, those crowds will come back.
yeah. No, that the like sound effects and stuff, like the way Mike is familiar, like the way Worlds Beyond Number is doing it, like their sound design is incredible. It's an entirely audio podcast, but they have like sound effects, music, like effects on the
opening
voices,
doors and crowds.
Yeah,
and, like,
I would love to add
who's like that too? If you do any of the Star Wars audiobooks, like for instance, General
audiobooks are amazing
trilogy book, like no, but not every audiobook does it. But the Star Wars one specifically, I know for a fact. Like the General Thrawn trilogy books, like if you do the audiobook for that and like A Dark Disciple, all of that, they literally have the like the music. It literally sounds like you're like watching a movie.
Wow.
And then you're just like not looking at the screen.
I love that.
They do everything, the walking, the sound, the marching, everything.
I think
probably access like the entire library of Star Wars follies.
Foley sounds. If I had a greater library for it, I would want to. But I think
you should just get a hard drive and it's just Foley.
Yeah, moving forward for season 2 of Rainbow Valley, which is like strictly audio, I do want to do more of that. Like there was a little bit in season 1, but like to do more would be really cool. I think because that's entirely audio, and I think we could definitely level that up a bit.
I would love to see just how much more Rainbow Valley is built up based off of this campaign. Like each one is sort of bouncing off and just getting larger and more in depth.
I feel like where I left off, it was getting there. Like because the way you guys were talking, you kept talking back about like Rainbow Valley sometimes. Or to the direction you guys are going forward with this.
Like Different and I once in a while will have conversations, especially when I have stuff about the greater like universe lore. I have to double check with him if it aligns with like his plans for Rainbow Valley moving forward, or what he knows of the universe around this time or prior. But yeah, very much curious also about because I'm a player in that one, so I don't know what the fuck is gonna happen about what the next season of Rainbow Valley is gonna look like, and like how this is gonna tie in. Because I have ideas for this and how to tie this in more. That appears more so in the end game of this campaign. But you guys will have to wait and see what that's all about.
Wow!
And with that, that will bring us to a close of this talkback. I will say next week we are not premiering a new episode. We are doing a Rage Against the Rift stream. So that will feature Ames and Magnus, of course, as guests, as well as Sky will be back. So it'll be like a full roster of guests plus Mike to help with the mechs and the rules. And that'll be next Monday. So same time, same place. That'll be here. And then we'll be back in 2 weeks to premiere Magnus's episode 14 of Blink Space Blues main campaign, which is a hefty one. It's a hefty one. I had only like finished editing it a couple weeks ago, so like I gotta start catching up because we're getting to the point where we're almost at where I've stopped editing. So yeah, hopefully I can get the time. All right, that's it from us. We'll see you next week. If you're around in Toronto, we're doing an Anime North party this weekend.
Yeah, his birthday.
And my birthday. Sponsored by Missy Mountain Gaming. So thank you. We will see you at some point. All right.
Over and out.
Over and out.